All right, welcome back, and it's time for us to have some more conversations here on the Breakfast Daily, and the show is interactive. We do want to hear from you, and wherever it is you're watching us from, the WhatsApp line is 0550585832. Hashtag is Breakfast Daily. Now, of course, one of the challenges that we face in the country as a whole is the effects of climate change. And this thing, we've been talking about it for a while. I mean, at least if I remember, as a good part of 20 years, there's conversation about climate change, the ozone layer, depletion, climate change, and so on and so forth, has been on the front burner of a lot of conversations. But what it is that I think that we as a country, even though we sign up quickly to a lot of treaties to be part of various, projects to make sure that we reduce our emissions and so on, we are a little slow in terms of implementation, when it comes to that. And recently, there were, conversations about the erosions that were happening in Keta, in the Volta region, and so on. Tidal waves coming in, washing. Of course, we've had this thing where we've been building sea defense, for a while. I mean, as far back as Rawlings' era, we're building sea defense, which means that it's, even as a country, it's something that we've been dealing with, and now we're going to Central region, and it's happening over there. The sea rising and washing away parts of the land and so on and so forth. We have a report, from our correspondent in the Central region. Frima, I'm not sure what your thoughts are as far as this challenge of climate change is concerned, and the way our attitude towards climate change.
So sometimes when we begin to talk about our challenges, I quite honestly don't even know which one we should look at as a priority, first, right? Because Ghana has to be on our priority list, because now the problems are all over, So yesterday we were talking about water rationing. Today we are talking about, other times we're talking about roads, other times we're talking about tidal waves effects and all. Look at the devastating effect that this had on the people of Volta region, where students were getting ready to write their BECE. All their stuff were washed away. Now, when you also look at what is happening in the Central region, is another big problem. I think that now we should begin to look at problems that affect us as people, problems that affect your livelihood. I mean, things that can just wipe you and your family off. Maybe we can manage the roads, because you would not you can deal with potholes, but when you go to bed in the night and you wake up to see that the whole community is flooded, you wake up to see that now the water is eating into the community, because when you watch the videos and all, you see remnants of structures that have been washed away. So it looks like the sea is now taking away communities, taking away buildings, schools and other places. So what are we doing? Because this is a natural occurrence that I don't think that when it's coming, anybody can do anything about it. So we need to put in place measures. I think that one of the most important, measures we need to put in place to deal with some of these challenges is the sea defense. We really need to put up the wall to make sure that people and property are safe, because life first.
Well, let's take a look at a report from Georgina Pierre. We'll come back and then we'll continue this conversation.
Tidal waves have been threatening the lives of people who live close to the seafront in the Central region for some time now. As a result, a sea defense is being constructed in a number of communities, including Elmina, Cape Coast, and parts of Moree. But residents who are not part of the beneficiary communities and live close to the sea want urgent attention from the government, as they believe the next tidal waves will wash their houses away and pose a danger to their families. They claim they are in this situation because of the sea defense being constructed along parts of the beaches. They explain that the sea is forcing its way into their homes because it does not find its way in the other communities that have benefited from sea defense. Affected residents are, however, calling on the government and stakeholders, especially well-to-do persons who come from Moree, to join hands and support the town to construct a sea defense before the unfortunate happens.
I've made a visibility studies with one man called Mr. Olandi. Olenu Mehuntem with this picture that we can use this symbol as a sketch to make a fence wall. It's not a temporary fence wall. It could be a permanent fence wall that can serve more than a year. The other end, less than 2 farting. In Chi, we call it abesem. Less than 2 farting, we call it abesem, or 3 meters. The sea water will come and erode all the houses. And when it happens, that means the whole Moree will be devastated, and then we shall now have peace of mind.
This place used to be a large vast of sea land, and we used to have bathhouses, houses along the coast. But currently, the tide or the sea erosion has eroded all the houses, most of the houses along the coast, especially the bathhouses. Then most of the sheds that were here. So we are calling on stakeholders, the government, the regional minister, the district chief executive, and the rest to come and help us. We have been reporting this to the assembly, but most of the time, all are fall on deaf ears.
Choke me to prepare my power for me, and me them to cranny. Mera papa, ya pawani chair, the uncle papa want to chow. One more and I, the impare mobile now no. No apart from Madam Atuaba. Apart from Madam Atuaba. Me tell one. Without some duty tell one. Ya pawani chawai. Up for missing a matuabe. Eh? Me baby, Munquabium. Mowa Sassum Paw, away chino. Now, what there they are, a mobile. One more friends worry, man.
So it's a real problem, and this problem is not, it's an isolated case that's happening only in the central region. Generally speaking, we see the tide is rising, which also speaks to the issues of global warming, which, if we look further, we're talk about Atlantic Ocean here. The Atlantic Ocean is linked straight up into the northern, the Arctic region, where there are polar ice caps that are melting, so it means that there's more water filling the oceans.
Yeah.
Which will naturally mean that, look, the water is filling the ocean. It's not going to go anywhere. There's no other place for the water to spill. So the water volume in the ocean is going to rise, and therefore it's going to come on land. And that's what's happening, And it's very important for us to have this conversation about what it is we are doing, And I remember the president, when at the last, I think it was COP29, when they went for the conference, he was saying that, look, listen, you guys in Europe need to do better in terms of making sure that you've taken our natural resources to build your wealth. What are you going to do for us so that if you're saying we shouldn't industrialize the way you did, okay, how are we going to build our economies? How are we going to also get to where you are? And if we industrialize, it's going to punish everybody else in the world. So look, we're in a catch-22 situation here. Our colleague Georgina Pia, who did the report, is on the line with us. We're going to speak to her. Georgina, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, how are you doing this morning? And Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. I'm fine.
All right. So how devastating is the situation generally across the central region? These tidal waves rising and washing away the land and houses and so on.
Yeah, so like I said in my story, a number of the districts or communities along the beaches are facing the same issue or the same challenge. Commander, for instance, is facing the same challenge. But in Moree, you would see that the houses along the beaches are very close to the sea, about just 2-3 meters away from the sea. And residents have been telling me that they've made several appeals to authorities in the area, the DC minister, among other authorities, to pay particular attention to that issue. But nothing has been done. Actually, they made makeshift fence, but it's all been washed away by the sea. And they say that initially, all the places that you can now see rocks were a place that were housing some facilities. But because the sea has been coming closer and closer and closer, it has washed all the facilities along the beaches.
What kind of facilities are we talking about? Do you know?
Oh, some houses, landing sites for fishermen.
Okay.
And they say they are bath houses, among others. They were all along those that place, actually.
Okay.
And the sea has washed it away. And they fear the Keta experience will visit them. So now the community has taken it upon itself to, if the government is not paying attention to their problem, they want to see if they can solve their own problem. So they are actually calling on philanthropists, benevolent organizations and individuals, well-to-do persons from the area, home and abroad, to come home and support. They see the issue has become a very serious one now. They fear for their lives, and they don't want any disaster to visit them, actually.
Now, Georgina, are there any authorities that are speaking to this issue within the area who have jurisdiction within Central Region? Is there anybody that seems to be apparently interested in the matter at all?
Not yet. The assemblyman for the area told me that they actually put this issue before the assembly some time ago. Okay. And they thought something could be done about the situation. But nothing was, it was not even captured in their minutes, the next meeting. So they raised it again, and they thought something could be done, but still nothing has been done. So it seems it has fallen on deaf ears, and they want to solve their own problem if they can.
All right, Georgina, thank you very much. We appreciate your report and your thoughts on this matter. All right, so that was our regional correspondent in the Central Region, Georgina Pia, who conducted that report there. Our colleague Duke Mensah-Opoku has joined us in the studio. Hey, Duke, good morning.
Hello, morning.
How are you?
I'm well.
Yeah. This is not the first time we're seeing this, is it?
No.
Okay.
We've met?
Yeah.
Right.
Not friendly.
So happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Right, Duke, not long ago you were in the Western Region. When was it? A couple of days ago? Over
It was actually yesterday.
Oh, yesterday, only yesterday.
Yes.
Right. I'm sure when you were coming back to Accra, you drove along the coastline. You were also in the Volta region latter part of last year when they experienced the tidal waves. Paint a picture. What was it like when you were coming back? What were you seeing and what was running through your mind?
So it's a typical situation of where you see the presence of the state in parts and then you see the absence in other parts. So for the places where you have at least, maybe because of the construction of the harbor, but from Takrad, from Sekendi, the Kendi township itself, you see the sea defense right there on your way, and it looks like everything is calm, everything is okay. I have an observation, but I'll make that one later. Up until these areas where you will see that the people have been left to their devices. Sometimes these issues, I don't know the kind of conversation that has been had over the period with them, but looking at how devastating the situation is, as we've seen, and how close the houses are to the place, the best long-term solution would be to resettle these people. But sometimes resettlement comes with a whole lot of psychological issues and the rest. Another problem that has to be grappled with is the sheer cost of the sea defense project itself. A kilometer of sea defense costs millions of cedis or millions of dollars. But if we are really going, and these are people who are fishermen, I mean, predominantly, or who, I mean, engage in activities that contribute in no small measure towards at least bringing down our import bill. If you look at the amounts that we spend every year importing fish into the country. So if and this doesn't happen only in Moree or in the central region. So if we're going to do a cost benefit analysis of how much we're going to spend on that and how much we spend importing fish every year into the country, even look at it from just the economic side, you would see utility to the argument that government should try all its means possible to get that done. It's not always that we have to stick to certain rules in the book. I was having a conversation with some of my friends in there. I'm not an engineer, or neither do I have a construction mind or anything. This is from my layman's point of view. There are places where there are rocks and granites and whatever, all across the country. Why can't we put some brains together to find out how we can use some of these rocks and granites and these things in these escarpments across the country to build these sea defense projects? Why can't we think about such organic local solutions to some of these problems, so that every time these things come up, we are not thinking about going to give some company some big contract to come and do that. Maybe it's about time the engineers at the Ministry of Works and Housing and others have made their minds to how this thing can be done. I'm not speaking as an expert. I'm just speaking as a lay person who looks at the makeup of.
You don't have to be an expert. We can all see. I mean,
it's in your face.
If the sea is clearing the buildings, you can see. You don't need to be an engineer to explain this.
So these borders, except there are some form of specialized borders that need to be brought. We see borders around us all the time, and the kind of mountains and the rest that are around us, even just on the Equipment to go range, we see all these kind of borders in these places. Why can't we do put together some of these researchers and practical people to see if we can find local and organic solutions? This is every year complaining about we needing some huge budget to do some of these sea defense projects. So I think that's the thing. But long term, government needs to look at the possibility of relocating some of these people. I know for Keta. It's a huge thing. It's even cultural. It even goes beyond that, because we are told that about 80% of the old Keta, which used to be the original capital of the Volta region, then is no more. It's been eaten by the sea.
Wow.
Yes. So that's what the researchers tell us. So it's just a few. It's just a few meters of the land mass currently that is still existing. That shows you how much of a that situation that is in that part of the country. And even with that, government could only allocate 10 million cedis for feasibility studies.
Wow.
When the Keta issue came up last year, some MPs were in the area. What has happened to that conversation?
I think it is because of that day, and was one of the demands that the minority put out clearly as part of the reasons why they would budge or not budge, and has caused some modifications to be made. And the modification is the 10 million Ghana cedis that has been devoted to do feasibility studies on how best to solve the problem. But
Duke, I struggle with this in the sense that the first time I heard about Keta Sea Defense Project was under Rawlins's era. That's the first time I heard about it. If it was there before, I didn't know about that. Why are we still doing feasibility studies?
I think that's the question.
No, I don't understand this.
Well,
so what have we been doing all along?
No, but you know, on the floor of Parliament, monitoring government conversations, budget year in, year out. Do you think that this is a priority?
Well, it's a very tight corner you're putting me into. Government's priority is giving expression in what it devotes funds to in a budget.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So looking at the fact that it took some form of opposition to push government to at least look at it, rejig its financial outlook and 10 million cedis project. I don't have to answer that question about
10 million cedis really, not to implementation of the project, but to a feasibility study. It's not a priority. So that's the situation. I think that we should look at finding local solutions to the problem. That's what I'm suggesting. I think we should put together a team of experts to look at how best we can use some of our local materials
to do some of these things instead of billions of cities of putting together. I mean, be giving out contracts and the rest, because really the major issue, the major challenge that the Minister of Works and Housing spoke to in Parliament in terms of what is the issue in the Keta, that's the Volta region, is due to lack of funds, because the project they stalled at a point. And I think that's the same situation in Moree, because on that Cape Coast stretch, there are major, if you start from secondary, there are major portions that you see the sea defense. And I have a problem that I observed yesterday. Maybe we can go and look at it. The people have started building beer bars and spots on the sea defense.
Oh wow. So the rocks, they've got to set up like beach resorts.
People are setting up
mini resorts.
People are setting up beach resorts and mini resorts on the sea defense.
But you see, so listen, what I always say is, when you're dealing with human beings, they would want to take advantage of every situation as much as possible. Okay, now people have had their businesses washed away. I'm not trying to hold brief for these people, but people have had businesses washed away. People have had their homes washed away. People need to survive. When we put up facilities like this, who is
policing
doing
them?
what? Who is policing it? Who is telling them that you can't do this, you can't do this?
Local
authorities. And
for
you to set up something like that, at least you need some form of
permit.
Exactly, you understand. So how come you have to move from Accra to Takoradi and your way observe this when we have authorities in there? Are they trying to tell us that they haven't seen this?
They've seen it.
Do you know where I'm coming from? On what authority can someone get up and say that I'm just going to mount up something here? Can you just get up and say that you're going to put your container in front of Jubilee House? You can't do that, you know.
Well, people are setting up. I was shell shocked. I mean, why would you do that? We are putting in place this to prevent you from dying.
Yes.
And
then you go and
set up
on top of it.
But if people can go and set up chop bars at Pokwasi interchange, you should know that everything, this is Accra, you understand? This is the capital city. You expect people to know better. So if people are able to go and pound fufu and prepare soup on an interchange, I mean, going to Moree to set up a beer bar, you shouldn't be too surprised.
And to the people, they shouldn't take it for granted. It's not. Government has at least spent millions of dollars and cedis
to build this thing,
to build this thing. And it's not on the land on the beach. No.
It's
on
the rocks. Okay. So we have Dr. Philip Jason Kwashiga, who is a research fellow at the Institute of Environment and Sanitation Studies, and he's going to help us to have a better understanding of what's happening on our coastline. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Welcome to Breakfast Daily, and Happy New Year to you.
Many happy returns.
All right, so can you give us a sense, the entire coastline from Aflao side right through to Hafasini, what are we looking at in terms of the levels of danger of the tidal waves washing away and eating into the land called Ghana?
Yeah, so I've been following the discussion, and like you rightly said, it's not only a problem Ghana is facing, global, because of the rising sea levels. These things will continue, and so the issue is how do we manage it. And of course, like you said, mostly the low-lying areas that over the past years, like the Volta region that this has been pronounced, that gradually, even in the western region, when it's more rocky and a bit higher, it's hitting them. So it tells you that this is a problem that is going to continue. And as the sea levels rise, definitely we will be experiencing this thing. So how do we manage it?
So is the sea defense, as we are currently building and we see in places like Sekondi, Takoradi, we see in places like Keta, is that the only solution that exists?
No, actually that is not the only solution. And the thing is we've had structures with that. Like some people complain in the videos, it just move the problem elsewhere.
Okay.
So the what we have been trying to push for is that as a nation we should have a comprehensive plan in place. Because as it is, there are some areas all we need to do is to move people away from it. Because no matter what you do, even if you put in a structure, in a few years, it may be overtopped and we go back to the same thing. So there should be a comprehensive plan in place where we have a detailed study all along the coast. We have the engineers telling us, okay, this place, maybe let's move people, this place, let's just bring sand, let's nourish the place, let's elevate the place, and we are fine. Okay, and this place, let's just put in breakwater, something offshore to make sure that the waves break before they come. All these things. So this is where we are lacking as a nation. There should be, if you go to the developed nations and all that, there's always a plan. There's always a shoreline management plan that is followed. And we don't have this in place. We don't have continuous monitoring in place. So that is where we are.
Will it be naive of me to suggest that we just build a breakwater along the entire coastline and that should solve the problem?
Well, that is, so there are so many sites. If you just go in and put the breakwater all along the coast, ecologically we have changed it.
Okay.
In terms of aesthetics, maybe tourism or that, we have changed the place.
Yeah.
So that is not the way to go. We can't just do that. And it definitely will also move it to other nations. And top of all, that is quite a huge investment.
It is.
If it's not done properly, sea level rise, it may go back to zero. So that is definitely not the way to just go completely. We need to do some comprehensive plan and see what to do at each particular place. Because there are different, the shorelines respond differently. Okay. How that is different from how Moree respond to sea level rise.
Okay. Yeah. So if you were to propose to government or to the president directly, he's asking you what is your recommendation for the entire coastline, what would be your maybe top 4 points that you would suggest that implement this, then that?
Yeah, so number one, I would say that government should invest in monitoring. A national monitoring system should be put in place.
Okay.
Long term. Yeah. Number two, then that will help us to build a comprehensive shoreline management plan for the entire coast. Okay. And then in the short term, I know people are saying we need to do something. Yes, let's probably get the engineers, let's do some studies quickly and then see what we can put in place in the meantime to hold the shoreline whilst we develop this long-term plan. Like maybe if we have to do some study and see what we put in some growing, we put in some seawall at a hotspot whilst we put in this long-term plan. That would be good. If some places, if we have to cross and move people away, let's do that. So those are the areas that I'm thinking of. So let's quickly step in with some studies and then put in some short-term intervention and then invest in the long-term monitoring and planning.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate your thoughts and your expert opinion on this matter. And that was Dr. Philip Kwashiga, who is a research fellow with the Institute of Environment and Sanitation Studies. So, I mean, Duke, I think it's quite obvious. We don't need, there's no magic bullet, I should say, to this problem. It's hard work. It's going to take determination. It's going to take grit and will on the part of government to make sure that we deal with this problem once and for all. And the problem is not going to go away. It's only going to get worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Climate change, global warming and all.
Yeah.
So we need to get our act together and put in place a strategy. Otherwise, we wake up one day and the whole town is wiped away.
Yeah.
And we'll be doing condolences and state funeral and things when we could have prevented
and
it.
great political speeches.
Yeah. We need
which we are quite good at actually. So
I think that because for everything that I guess just said,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
I just didn't know what else to ask, you know, because I don't want to think that all these are not in
People
the
that
many
they already know.
feasibility studies and the many researches that we've conducted over the years.
Yeah.
Everything is there. I think that some of these issues we need to move away from politics, you know,
Yeah.
partisan politics,
And
and face the issue head on. You know, if it happens in Volta region, let's show that commitment. Let's handle it. If it happens in Central region, Western region, let's show same commitment. You know, and do it. Some of these things should be seen as a national problem, and then stop this kind of is happening here, and these people think it is because of this. You know, because lives are being lost, properties are being lost, and this is the sad reality. You know, so I think that government needs to show that commitment, because moving people away to other areas, you know, the sea is still coming. So I think that what we need to be doing is a way of preventing the sea from gradually coming onto the land.
So like what Dr. Kwashiga said, and as we need to go for a quick break, but what Dr. Kwashiga said is that the coastline has different characteristics change along, you know, not all are the same. So you can't use one size fits all to solve everything. So it needs to be looked at comprehensively, the entire shoreline, you know.
Maybe that's what the feasibility study is for. The 10 million.
10 million, no.
Yeah, but one thing, please. The secondary Metropolitan Assembly, Cape Coast, and Elmina, they need to clamp down on those people who are building on the sea defense. I beg you, please. We are crying for, government is asking for money.
Yeah.
Saying that there's no money to do this. We found money to do all this sea defense. Beautiful on the stretch. And people are building things on it. Please, clamp down them.
Well, it's time for us to take a short break. Don't go anywhere. Breakfast Daily will continue.
You're welcome back. This is Breakfast Daily, and we are having conversations of national interest. So we are done, you know, with the sea defense issues.
Yeah, I know.
Another problem, well, I think I'm right to say is a problem, you know, because one of the measures that government had to put in place to deal with the spread of COVID-19 was the closure of borders. So at some point, you know, air travel was kind of eased, and then the airports were open, people could move freely. Now, land borders are still closed. The only stuff that can come in are goods. Human beings have to really go through some kind of stringent, you know, measures or some kind of serious explanations as to why you need to be moving, you know, across borders. But is that only existing on paper? What is the situation on the ground like? Are people really adhering, you know, to this measure? My colleague, Fred Duho, has been monitoring how the border closures have been, and it will surprise you what he found out. Let's take a look at this report.
I am on a journey to Aflao to ascertain if indeed the land borders are closed. In this STC bus heading to Aflao at about 5:20 a.m., I met Matateria from Takrady heading to Togo.
Any power day, was showing some. Then we have a police from the which a Tegana. Then no say near Tegana, but that's now let be a combo for the beats 9. I was sure you for Sagation Papa no for what will stay now.
According to her, items sold in Ghana are expensive compared to neighboring Togo. She embarks on this adventurous journey for over 10 hours into Lomé, the capital city of Togo. Our first point of contact with immigration officials was enough reason to appreciate the efforts and mandate of the uniformed officers tasked to protect our borders. Our bus was stopped and a search was conducted. Foreigners were subjected to further probe.
You were given 90 days to stay in Ghana, 2019, August, and you'll be here for what date are we on? Today?
It was expired in November. Yes. November 9th. Are you aware? Yes, sir. Why haven't you gone to regularize your stay? So you see some of the things.
So he's illegally living in Ghana?
He's illegally residing in Ghana. He's attempting to illegalize the country. He's owing the state.
So he has to pay some fines or what?
No, for now, we don't take the final decision. When he goes to the office, the big men are going to take a decision on him.
Our bus was discharged to go, leaving behind the foreigners who came into Ghana and overstayed their visa periods. At this point, I have agreed to accompany Matatewia through her routes into Togo to better appreciate her trade. I wasn't lucky. Motor riders acting as spies had blown my cover at the very first point of payment.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm well, sir.
Can you pocket your phone for me?
I should pocket it. All right. I'm from Accra.
So why are you here?
I'm here to enter into Togo to assess how our borders are.
Yes, I kindly use the main border.
Why should I use the main border while others are using the shore, sir?
So kindly use.
So why would you allow others to use here? Why should I came with my auntie? My auntie is the one going, and you want me to go and use the main border? Would that be fair to me? That's not fair to me.
After several minutes of back and forth with the customs official, I have succeeded in arguing a dime since they suspected me to be a journalist. I advanced my course along the beach like Christians on a pilgrimage. My supposed auntie from Takrady is long gone. The journey is now left to me alone. They were both men and women on this journey. I was with them, but with a heartbeat faster than usual. When I thought I had made significant inroads, the spies had reported me to the Togo side of the illegal checkpoint again. The network in my phone had switched to Togo cell. It will be difficult to reach my contacts on the border should these people attempt anything unreasonable.
Get a phone and I want to go. Where phone I came across your phone I came across your.
They conducted a search on my phone in an attempt to delete all videos I had taken. After this encounter and paying my way through, I can now take a deep breath and a sigh of relief. Here, I am in Togo in a fruitless search for Matatewia. This is Lomé, busiest central business district that can be compared to Tudu in Accra. After hours of not getting any Ghanaian to interview in Lomé, I returned with an Okada rider. At another checkpoint, each of us was made to pay 10 Ghana cedis.
Right, so dear Mr. President, if you didn't know, you've put your men at the approved checkpoints, and the border areas, but people are bypassing the approved routes and are really making their journeys. And we saw how Fred started, all the way in Tudu and ended up in Togo. Now, Fred is here.
Quite easily, actually.
Smooth.
I mean, no, it's no matter.
And also had some of in his words, the pilgrims, report him because they know what they are doing is illegal. Now, what I don't know is, if citizens know these routes, security officials cannot tell me that they don't know these routes. And there are actually unapproved checkpoints in these areas. Fred, welcome to Breakfast Daily.
Thank you, Fred.
Now, when you were doing this, were you not scared something could happen to you?
Certainly. From the start, from Accra, you won't be scared until you get to the main border, where you want to begin from the illegal or unauthorized route. So, rightly seen from the video, you will see that the area picture paints a vivid picture where the sea is just closer to the main border. So you could either bypass using the beach side and entering into Togo, but even that you would have to go through the illegal checkpoints on the Ghana side, and then when you get to the Togo side too, there are illegal checkpoints you would have to bypass before you'll be able to freely enter.
So when you say illegal checkpoints, what exactly does that mean? Who is managing this checkpoint?
Very well. So over time, a number of journalists have been to these land borders to do reports and telling the story of how security personnel normally extort money from travelers. So now they've now devised another strategy where they allow plainclothes people, men, to take this money and then they are there supervising. So I say this because...
Hold on. So we have plainclothes men.
Very well.
Also setting up their own checkpoints.
Exactly the case.
Where are the officials, the immigration officials, where are they?
So they are not even 5 meters or 10 meters from this plainclothes people. They are just around and looking on. Okay. So they are there. You see military men even holding gun, and they are standing there. You see customs, you see immigration. They are all there.
But they are not collecting the money.
If they attempt taking it, that is where you have a cause to probably worry. But here are plainclothes people. You can't even identify them with anything. But the security personnel are there and watching whoever, and you can't even pass. Nothing dares you to even pass without you paying the plainclothes people.
So how much do you pay?
So averagely you pay 10 cedis. That is on the average. But when you are using other goods and using other routes that are not probably closer to the border, based on what the number of people you are traveling, we could even pay as high as 80 cedis, 100 cedis, depending on your intention and probably what you are carrying on you. So this is how the situation is. The illegal checkpoint is on the Ghana side, is on the Togo side. You can't pass any of them without paying.
So roughly how many people, were you moving with? Can you give a rough estimation?
So I moved in earlier when I was going. I went with the supposed auntie, Martha Theria, who was actually traveling from Takoradi. She said she took off from Takoradi. That is, let's say, the following day, got to Ghana, got to Accra around 2 a.m. Waited at Tudu, took STC, and now on her way to Togo. So roughly, when you get to, let's say, you will see about 5 people who are in plainclothes, and they are some are well built, and when you see them, nothing would even, you can't even pass. That's the thing, you can't pass without paying them.
So I'm curious, the STC that you joined to go, what was the destination when you left Accra?
The destination is Aflao.
So the STC is just doing
its normal business, normal work, and they end you at Aflao. Now, the moment you get to Aflao, the moment the cars stop, then you hear them, the Okada riders or the commercial motor riders, they come. Oh, Lome, do you want to go to Lome and things like that?
So they know the route.
So the moment you get there, they are willing to take you through the unauthorized routes into Lome, and that will be an agreed fee between you and the commercial motor rider. Before you even get to the checkpoint and pay the order.
So it's a big business going on there, and everybody is kind of cashing in.
That is it.
When is this done? Does this go on, right through the day?
It's a 24/7 activity.
Oh, wow.
From dawn to dusk.
So it means everybody, using that route is embarking on an illegal journey.
Exactly. When the borders are closed, you are embarking on an illegal journey. But there are some people who are officials working in these ECOWAS banks who probably can cross. For those people, they have authorization notes that you go through the immigration process, they stamp it for you, check your passport, then they allow you to drive through, they even check your vehicle and everything. So those procedures are there.
So that was the regular border?
That is for regular border. But when you are talking of the unauthorized routes, it's more than 100.
Oh, wow.
Yes, as for unauthorized routes, they are more than 100. So and the men, they can't really...
when you get there, what do they ask you? What do they check? What was the conversation before you paid the money and crossed over?
Very well. So in this case, it doesn't matter how you look. Normally, they give consideration or they are a bit lenient to traders. Women, they know they are harmless or they are not much of a threat. So for them, when they see them carrying their goods and everything, they know they are just going to Lome, do their trade and then come back. So they will also pay anyway. But when they see someone who probably, they've been there for long, so they know who is a stranger and they know who probably is just traveling across and even go beyond into Nigeria and travel
So what kind of conversation ensued between you and them?
Very well. So when they saw me and they were like, the Okada guys, you realize that when we got to Aflao, I started videoing the woman, how she gets down from the vehicle so I can tell that story. So when they saw that particular action, that is where the motor guys quickly went to the Ghana side and reported me to the custom official that no, there's a guy coming dressed this way, carrying this bag, blah blah blah, and then he's about to enter or do so and so. So please monitor him. So the moment I got to that place, then I saw the guy leaving after whispering to the custom officials. Then the custom official, when I was moving with the supposed auntie, called me that, hey, gentleman, come. And I went to him and he was like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, oh, I'm here to enter Togo and do one or two things. And he was like, no. But even the main border is there. Now I asked him if the main border is there and a number of people
passing,
they are just passing. You are watching them pass. Why would you prevent me? And he was like, no, but even that is not an issue here. He decides probably who goes or not. He feels he's here stationed to do his work. I must allow him to do his work. I should leave my bag here. I said, no, that can't be possible. I wouldn't leave my bag here.
Of course not.
And so we had a back and forth for some minutes. And he was still insisting until a lady was there. And the lady was like, no, check him well, check his bag and everything. And I'm like, no, you can't do that to me. Since you've not done it to
anybody else,
you can't do the same to me. So I was there. He actually kept me there, going back and forth for almost 15 minutes. Then he said, well, you want to go to Togo? Go. So when they realized those back and forth, those even in plain clothes who are at the illegal checkpoint, they couldn't ask me anything. Then they just allowed me. So at least for the very first point, I didn't pay anything. Then I went to the second. That one, it was easier. Then I went to the Togo side. Now before I got there, I saw the same motor guy, commercial motor rider, leaving the motor guys again. So before I could even get there, say, hey, you come. When others were there paying and taking their balance and everything. So basically, this is it. You get to that side when they suspect you to probably, you are there, they have this suspicion of you being a threat to what they are doing. They want to really profile you and then subject you to any rigorous checks.
But what is the worst that can happen, because it looks like this is some kind of business, a chain. So from the Okada guy, to the officials, the immigration officers, to the plainclothes people, and even to some of the citizens who are using, because you mentioned a lady who, I think just one of the travelers say, check him properly. So it means there's that connection, there's a proper coordination, the word can happen killed, can something like that happen to you?
Do you know, Togo is not like Ghana where, let's say, in as much as we all bemoan our declining press freedom staff, Togo is not like that. If you are a journalist and they realize you are a threat to whatever they are doing, when they get you, and worst of all, you get into the hands of their military men, no one would be able to trace you, and the worst can actually happen. So in this case, my luck was that I've been there, I can at least speak their language, and then they understood what I was saying. So they took my phone in an attempt to delete even the videos I had taken. So they didn't know I had two cameras actually on me. So one camera on me and my phone. So the phone was doing coverage. This one was also taking another coverage. And that is how come when I got there and they wanted to check my phone, I quickly deleted the videos and it went to the deleted folder. And then they went through my files and they were still insisting, they were not convinced, and they want to even format my phone and everything. I'm like, no, you can't do that. Check it. If you find it, or if you find anything that you think is not good, just take it out. But we had this engagement and they realized, no, there was nothing in my gallery that shows that I had taken video. I'm like, hey, take your money, give me my balance and let me leave. So I told them that, and then they gave me the phone back, and I entered to go and manage to restore the files. Even the files, I have to get back to Ghana, be comfortable before I restore them, because on my return, the same thing happened. So I went through the seashore, to the illegal checkpoints. Then when I was coming, I used a motorbike now. And even that one was stopped. We have to do the payment. And you see, between Ghana and Togo, there is just this barricade, kind of.
Like a wire mesh kind of something. You just
so you can just, you can be here and we will still transact business. So far as you are in Ghana, I am on this side. We can still transact business. It doesn't really matter.
But it is not difficult, using the approved route, because when you get to the Togo border, it is not difficult, it's not too complicated. So why are people not using the approved route?
One, because of the border closure. and
so it says the
immigration
border is closed, but the border is already closed.
The border is
aren't there
closed
any kind of
officially.
concession? Because if you are going in there for something genuine, can you not explain, you know, give reasons why you can cross over? Or so, closure means nothing will be done.
Very well. So the first closure was to almost everything, even goods. Yeah. Then they reviewed it, and then they exempt goods now, goods carrying vehicles, the mate and the driver. Now the situation is they've now allowed those who are doing this ECOWAS trade or doing working in these international organizations to pass. Now that is the arrangement. Okay. Now I understand, or the immigration officer who is the sector commander, Assistant Commissioner Fred Rodu, he said that from the look of things, the crime rate is increasing, and the chiefs have really come to them on a number of occasions, pleading that the economy is getting tough for their people, so they have to really reconsider the measures. So that is how come they now reviewed it, and they are thinking that if you are from within the Ketu South municipality and they know you are even a woman, you want to trade, just use the authorized route. Tell them you just want to go there and buy something and come. They will allow you. Yeah. So he's now trying to establish that and have that conversation with the people and let them know that no, we are not going to prevent you. But if you are Nigerian or you are foreigner going in or out, the border is closed. That one you have to use the airport. That is what he's saying.
Right. So basically that is but it's important for us to state that this issue of, you know, people using unapproved routes has always been a problem. You know, from there. Cocoa issues to other matters, you know, has always been a problem. Now, Philip Nilate of City News also put a report together. Let's take a look at that.
Now, the business are closed because they already locked the border. We are taking Discord. And I bedu Ghana hanomo. Here is a man. I'm from Nigeria today. 5 days.
Oh, so you took some passengers there?
Yes. How did you go? Well, as the thing be, no say if you be lazy man, you can never chop, unless you be a stronger man.
So you do Kululu go there?
Oh, I'm doing Kuluru because I cannot say I'm a driver. My motor is in the Lome garage there. Then I do my Kuluru way. I take my passengers in, manage myself. I beg. I carry them to Accra to do. That's it I work. Now say we day Nabas is a very difficult. It's very beautiful. That's why we are praying make a government sorry for we, open border for we.
The closure of the land borders seemed to be biting hard. Traveling to neighboring countries such as Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast, Togo, among others, is not possible. But it is a daunting task for the people who attempt to do so. President Akufo-Addo announced the closure in March 2020 with the aim of limiting Ghana's chances of recording more COVID-19 cases. Nana Akufo-Addo, in his recent national address, stated that it was not the right time to reopen Ghana's land borders at a time a fourth wave of the coronavirus disease was threatening to begin with the discovery of the new variant Omicron.
I believe this is not the right time to reopen our land borders, especially as we're determined to prevent a fourth wave. And as such, they will remain closed until further notice.
The decision is having a toll on the transport operators who ply their trade across the borders of the country.
We are international drivers, you see, so this is our job, this is our profession, we can't change it. You see, just look at from the COVID time, since the border being closed, we have families, we have children who go to school, we have mothers, we have sick mothers and sick fathers. How do we feed them? When you've closed the border, even though the sickness or the virus, whatever they call it, it came through the airport. It didn't come through the border, our borders.
Since the closed border, I know they go again.
So how do you survive?
Naim be the wahala. Naim be the wahala. You see, I know they get anything. So I just, if I dey house, I'm free to come and make visit here and go back. That's all. I know they do no work again.
I'm currently at IFEX Executive Station. This is a station that has vehicles that transport passengers from Accra to Lagos. Before the closure of the border, you could find 5 to 10 vehicles stationed here, getting passengers into them and moving them to Lagos. But the situation has changed close to 2 years after the closure of land borders. Well, the situation here has become dire, and behind me is a taxi, and this taxi belongs to the security personnel here. He is the only individual left at this particular station. According to him, he relies on the taxi business to survive. We will interact with him, though he's not willing to speak on camera, and find out from him how the business has been surviving, or how business has been so far since the land borders have been closed. When last did you move some of your cars from here to Nigeria?
Since the starting of Corona, that is since March, last 2 years March. Because there's no a bus to border from here, so nobody is able to come to this particular place and saying that they are traveling to Nigeria. When they come, they will not see any bus from here, so there's no any improvement.
That was a report put together by Philip Ni Latte, and Fred is still here. So, you know, with watching Philip's report as well, last night on CNR, there was also a report done by Umaru Sanda Amadu, right? Now, the people say that, yes, we are doing kululu. You know, so they know. But the argument is, but we also must eat. Exactly. You know, so going through your journey, embarking on this journey and coming back, what have we achieved with this particular measure of border closure? You know, just to check spread of COVID-19.
If it's because of COVID-19, I can say on authority that those people I've seen are not wearing nose masks in the first place. Okay, as to and I even asked a number of them whether they vaccinated. They said no, they've not really taken the jab yet. So if it is about COVID-19, I can say that no, we are not really achieving anything. Some of them still have this doubt that if they can see people moving around healthy, they've not even done this vaccination or whatsoever, and this whole sort of thing, then the closure shouldn't be, I mean, COVID shouldn't be the reason for the border closure. There should be another reason associated with this. So they are even asking for further explanation. So essentially, for me, going through this process, I would only say that the border closure is fueling some form of illegality. It's making even market women, if assuming you have budgeted 500 cities to go and trade in Togo, and now you have to take like 50 cities to pay for illegal checkpoints. Obviously, that is more like even your profit you've given out. So we are only fueling this sort of illegalities in the system. It's better it is opened, put the measures in place, let the people move freely, let the custom, border, port health officials be able to do their screening, put in the measures and make sure that people are wearing the nose masks and everything. Then we are cool to go. But for the border closure, it's really not preventing
anybody from moving across
called COVID.
Wow.
Unfortunately, this is it, you know. So the measure was put in place to check specific things, but it looks like work done is zero. Because there are too many unapproved routes.
And
you are saying there are hundreds of them?
Oh, there are hundreds of the officials. There are about 400. Even they are under-resourced. Not to even talk about the resources they need to work with. That is a different thing altogether. But it's more like it stretches all the way from the Aflau border to Yendi areas. It goes to Ho, if you know Ho very well. So imagine from Aflau all the way. So the border is just the unauthorized routes. And you see, when the measures were so tight earlier, crime increased. That is what the assistant commissioner told me, that crime was very high. They could intercept these kind of drugs and stuff like that. But ever since they've relaxed the measures, they've realized that that crime rate has also reduced because the people are now channeling their energy to this Okada riding and conveying travelers across the border. So basically that is it.
Well, government, we've shown you what's really going on, and so I think we should all stop there pretending that, you know,
acting like ostriches.
Yeah, let's
burying our faces in the in the sand when we know the bigger problem is out there.
Exactly.
But good job.
Thank you.
When I was watching, I was a bit scared for you, but you sure a lot of bravado and well done, great job. Well, I believe authorities are watching, so this is it. I'm sure we all know that there are a lot of unapproved routes, in Ghana. Maybe we should do more in trying to bring sanity to our borders.
Yep. Well, we're going to go on a short break. Don't go anywhere. Breakfast Daily. We'll be right back.